Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Settling the Kingdom here with Mike Settle of the Sports Buffoons, and we have a lot to discuss here today regarding the Chiefs and the Chiefs only. Chiefs are going nowhere from this show whatsoever. This is going to be an all off-season long topic. This past season with the Sports Buffoons, we took some time away from talking Chiefs, but this year, oh no, it's not going anywhere. Football never ends here on this show. So thank you guys so much for joining. I have a few things I want to go over today. First and foremost, I got the Fields and Ivy fence bender here that I'm just taking a sip on. A whole 11% triple IPA, and we're having some snow apparently. So we'll just see how these things work out together, you know. Going to be snowed in with a little IPA, I'll take it. We'll see how bad it really gets. Probably not that bad. But guys, what I want to talk about the most is what you guys are feeling right now within the Chiefs kingdom, within the Chiefs fandom. Those of you who live and die and breathe for this team on a daily basis. And I want to put some thoughts out there for you guys. The NFL Combine is now wrapping up as we speak currently. The cornerbacks and safeties are finishing up their drills. And so I want to talk about what we're going to look forward to here as the offseason begins and goes underway beginning on March 16th of the new league year. And I have three things that we know about the Chiefs currently. And number one for me is the Chiefs seem to always find a way to keep their core pieces. And this is a team historically under Brett Veach at this point now who has found a way to keep guys on the roster, give them contracts. Chris Jones, we saw not too long ago, get an extension, get a new deal. Travis Kelce ain't going anywhere. I mean, he got a new deal. If you're a big piece of this organization, you get a new deal done. Tyreek Hill is going to be extended here, and the announcement's going to be made here in the next couple days. Looking like a 4-year extension worth around $80 to $85 million. So watch that unfold, and then watch also the Chiefs gain more cap room because of that extension being made. So that's something that I'm excited for because, you know, the Chiefs are going to be making some moves this offseason. They need to figure out what they're going to do at the edge this year. Frank Clark is one of the highest paid players in the entire league, but only gave you 4.5 sacks. That's something that's not going to work out. I mean, even 1 year ago, only 6 sacks, just back in 2020. And so you're looking at 2 years combined with this guy, and he's got barely over 10 sacks. I just think we need to get more production from edge pass rusher this year. But with that said, my entire point is that I don't think we need to give up yet on Tyrann Mathieu leaving this organization, because I think the Chiefs know and understand how vital he is to the defense. He is the leader of the defense. He calls the plays, calls the back end. And even though he will be testing free agency, I would not put it past the Chiefs to make a move to where they know they can get him and keep him in Kansas City for at least the next 3 years on a new deal. Now, do the Chiefs have as much cap room as the rest of the league? As the Colts, for instance? Or anybody else? No, not at all. Chiefs are sitting right now with about $8.5 million in cap space. That will be extended here as the offseason rolls on. We're going to look for Orlando Brown Jr. will be getting the franchise tag here in the next day or two. You're going to see that unfold. And then they could still be working on an extension throughout the offseason. Personally, I actually believe that the Chiefs should wait. I think they should give him the franchise tag and then don't work towards an extension until after this season, then work on getting that new contract done. And so I think Brown still needs to prove himself to a degree on this offensive line and prove he's going to be a sustainable left tackle, which is still a fairly new position for this guy. Let's keep that in mind. But with that said, understand the Chiefs are a team that when they know they have valuable pieces, they don't let them walk. It doesn't happen, and under Brett Veach, it's proven not to happen. Now, if you're an expendable piece like Anthony Hitchens, well, see you later. It's more worth it. You're a cap casualty in that case. But, guys, all I'm saying, putting the bug in your ear, Tyrann Mathieu, there's still a great chance he could be a Chief coming up here in 2022 as well. So, after that, you guys, my number 2 point, something we know about the Chiefs currently, the offensive line is set for the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, you're looking at it right now. Creed Humphrey, statistically ended up being the best center in the entire league this offseason, or this season, this previous season. And you're looking at the right guard situation. I mean, that's ideal. You're looking at a guy that's cheap as hell right now, going to be playing for a long time, and super nasty and aggressive. And Joe Thuney was just signed this, a year ago. That guy's not going anywhere for a long time. And then Orlando Brown, obviously the Chiefs will find a way to keep him in-house throughout, at least I would say, when they get a new deal done, over the next 5 to 6 years total. The only thing left remaining really is the right tackle spot. We'll see how that unfolds as time goes on, but it seems like the Chiefs always have a right tackle situation coming up, besides the time with Mitchell Schwartz, which is really rare to come across, someone that good that can be that consistent for that long. So aside from that, I do want to point out, guys, my number 3 thing we know about the Chiefs currently. Andy Reid will never change. Reid is a pass-at-all-costs type of a coach who just struggles to adjust mid-game when other teams are adjusting to the Chiefs' game plan offensively. And for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what happens, the Chiefs cannot find a way to make in-game management adjustments. And it's going to drive us crazy forever. But we're gonna live and die with Andy Reid being the way he is. He can be stubborn as hell, but he's still one of the best coaches of all time. And we need to understand that. But now, here's the thing. How do we adapt to that? How do we now adapt to knowing that Andy Reid is who he is and will always be that way? He'll never be a coach who, as we all know, in the second half of the Bengals-Chiefs AFC Championship game, should have been running the ball. Instead, he comes out passing consistently. Mahomes folds, takes back-to-back sacks, and that seemed to be the dagger for the Chiefs at that point in that game. Well, the key is here, I say build on the strengths. I say look for the wide receivers to be upgraded throughout this offseason, understanding that Mecole Hardman has a role on this team, but he's not your WR2. Byron Pringle has a role in this team, but he should not be your WR2. Tyreek Hill will be your WR1, but Patrick Mahomes himself has expressed the interest in grabbing a veteran receiver here this offseason. And I think the Chiefs make that move. I think the Chiefs look at free agency and see what they can add to this team, someone who can replace Tyreek, even if Tyreek is to miss time due to an unfortunate injury. Amari Cooper seems to be available coming soon. The current rumors are he is going to be cut from the Cowboys, and, that's an option, I would say. But then again, there's other options too. Allen Robinson's an option. We're looking at probably $16 million per year for that guy. But guys, I don't want to end there looking at free agency to add another piece. I want to look at the draft. I am a big fan of George Pickens from Georgia. Reminds me a lot of A.J. Green when he was going pro. 6'3", 205 pounds, and just ran a 4.47 in the end. So it seems like the timekeeper was a little off in the original running of the 40-yard dashes at the NFL Combine. But regardless, Pickens is a big physical receiver, go high point the ball, also elusive as well. So I would love to have that guy and mold him into this roster. And, we could think about, Cornell Powell, how he really didn't do anything when he was drafted in the 5th round. Well, this guy is going to be a different type of animal to work with if the Chiefs are to make that move. Right now, he's looking like a 2nd round projection for George Pickens. So with that said, though, I still would love to see both the pick and getting a veteran free agent as well in this offseason coming up. Now, I also want to point out one thing, you guys. The running back situation is a struggle right now. And what's frustrating about it is that I miss Jamal Charles so much. As a fan of watching this team for, my entire life. And we had a guy like Jamal Charles who, in a lot of ways, carried the offense and could hit home runs at any moment. When we saw this guy, take runs of 70, 76, 60-yard touchdowns at any given moment, you never knew when he could break away. The Chiefs have not had that kind of running back in a long, long time. So one of the ways to now counteract the fact Andy Reid is not ever going to change his approach offensively is maybe getting that explosive running back on this roster. I'm wearing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air t-shirt right now. That doesn't mean I endorse him to be a full-time running back on this team. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be your breakaway running back to take the ball 50 yards. It just won't happen. It's not his style. But he can, grind it out and pick up, 5 to 10 at a time. So what I'm pointing out here right now is there were 6 running backs in the Combine who ran under a 4.4 here this weekend. And the Chiefs' biggest issue right now in the ground game is that ability to take it the distance. The Chiefs, the longest run they've had the last 2 years combined is 31 yards. And that happened week 1 of 2020 season. So it has been 647 carries, and the longest run you've gotten out of a running back on this team is 31 yards. And that was when Clyde Edwards-Helaire's rookie season took it to the house against the Texans for a touchdown. It's been a while, guys, since we've had someone with that ability to break away. Derek Gore did have a run of 51 yards during this past season. I don't know that that's sustainable. Jerick McKinnon has some speed. He's also turning 30 this season. Guys, let's not concern ourselves with what we currently have of these guys who are injury prone like McKinnon or Derek Gore, who's kind of a late bloomer. We need to find some youth at running back. And I like some of the options. We have Breece Hall from Iowa State, who ran a 4.39, also looked at as a very, very likely starter in the NFL. I like his potential, at least, to have some breakaway speed, but also to be kind of an every down back if you need him to be. Let's keep in mind, Jamal Charles ran a 4.38 at the combine. This guy's a tenth of a second behind. That's fine. I'll take that. That means occasionally you can take it 50 to 60 yards if you need to. But I want more explosive playmaking ability out of these running backs going forward. And this offense would have thrived if we had a young Jamal Charles in the backfield. I mean, we saw Jamal Charles with Alex Smith put up a 5-touchdown game against the Raiders. And 4 of those were through the air. I just would like to see a little more versatility with what we currently have on this team, because right now we get guys that are grinders, which I appreciate that, but I want to see some explosion coming from the backfield and really, at that point, force some of those safeties to play up a little closer against this team. So right now what we're seeing, teams are adjusting. The Bengals were only rushing 3-man in that last game against the Chiefs, backing off 8. If you have a guy with the quickness of a Jamal Charles on your team, or something similar even, then you're not going to do that. You can run that delayed draw, and it's not going to work as a defense. Now, one thing that we don't know currently about this roster is what the Chiefs' plan is for fixing the edge rusher position. Frank Clark, as I just said a little bit ago, 4.5 sacks this season. He also had a 24% missed tackle rate. That's god-awful. So you're telling me the guy's kind of lazy, isn't consistent at all, and then also can't tackle worth a shit? Get him off my damn roster. Sick of it. Sick of this bum being on this roster. And thanks for the playoff run. Appreciate it, man. Very much. But that's 2 years ago, and we're over that crap. What we care about right now is how we're going to win in 2022. And for me, there's options here, guys. The Chiefs can make a trade. I would not be opposed with the amount of picks the Chiefs currently have right now going into this draft if they made a trade from that 30th overall pick, sent that to maybe Jacksonville. There's a defensive end named Josh Allen out there, good young prospect still, who's really never been given an opportunity to shine, and he's had a little injury history, but they can make that move and make that a quick fix. Or, guys, the draft. There's many options out there in the draft as well. Take 2 stabs at guys, because right now it's getting worse. So this edge rushers only had 10.5 sacks this past season. That combines Mike Dana, Frank Clark, a couple other guys that came off the edge. 10.5 sacks from your edge. You're relying entirely on your interior pass rush to make any kind of pressure against quarterbacks. And we saw Joe Burrow, who had just been sacked 9 times against the Titans, and still win a game. But then comes to Kansas City, and we can't touch him. And then the Super Bowl against the Rams, he's running for his life again. Clearly, those 2 teams had something against him that we don't, and that is the pass rush from the edge. And that needs to be fixed immediately on this team. So I think Clark Hunt understands that. I think Brett Veach understands that. And one thing I'll say about the management of this team is when they see a weakness, they will attack it. They will go fix it. And it's unfortunate that it seems they can't catch up to themselves because every year is something new. But they're at a point right now where they can make it happen if they choose to. And we also know Veach has been great in the mid-rounds. 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. You can find some great players in those rounds. You don't need to have a first-round pick again. He's proven that over time. Make that trade. Get that guy who's going to solidify the edge. And then from there, also, use all your picks you got. Chiefs have 10 draft picks at the moment. And use those towards a couple edge rushers. Work on them, develop on them, and see how they pan out in the future. But with that said, you guys, we have a great offseason ahead. And I'm not concerned at all right now about what's going to happen. Whether Tyrann Mathieu stays the Chief or not, Chiefs can make some moves, maneuver around. The cap is not going to be an issue. We will find a way around it, one way or the other. And with all that, I hope I settled your mind, and thank you for settling the kingdom.